So rolling covered calls is one of the things that gets taught as if it's always the right answer. Stocks run past your strike, roll it out, stock gets called away, you should have rolled. Every time someone faces a covered call expiring in the money, the advice is literally always the same. Just roll it to the next month and keep the shares. That advice has a version of the truth in it, I agree, but it also hides a rule that nobody even teaches clearly, and breaking that rule quietly turns a winning strategy into a losing one without you ever even realizing what occurred. So here's the situation that triggers this conversation all of the time. Let's say you own 100 shares of a stock, right? You sold a covered call at 55 bucks above your cost basis to collect some premium. Stock rallies and is now trading at 61. Your 55 call is deep in the money. If you do nothing, your shares get called away at 55 on expiration day. The standard response from most options content that we see is roll the call up and out. Buy back the 55 call, sell a new call at a higher strike, maybe 58 or 60 with a later expiration, keep the shares, keep the premium coming in off of those shares. Sounds absolutely logical, and sometimes it is, but here's the part that gets skipped. A roll costs money. Buying back an in-the-money call that's worth $7 and selling a new call at a higher strike for $4.50 means you're paying an extra $2.50 to execute the roll. That's a net debit. You're spending money to avoid losing your shares. Most people do this without even thinking carefully about whether the cost is worth it. They just roll because the instinct to keep the shares is so strong and the decision feels active and controlled. Here's the rule I use though, and it's simple enough to apply literally in 30 seconds. If you can roll for a net credit, meaning the new call you're selling generates more than the old call costs to buy back, rolling makes mathematical sense for you, right? You've extended the position and collected some additional income in the process. The roll paid you. This is why having some sort of calculators and income calculators and premium calculators is so important to be using. I literally use mine every single day, all day long. So if you want mine for free, plus my 10 favorite stocks to run the wheel strategy on, attend the Ark Options Strategy workshop. It'll be the first one in the link in the description of today's video. 90 minutes of training, plus I give you a whole bunch of free tools like my calculators to keep yourself nice and organized. So make sure to click that after you watch today's video. But let's say you cannot roll for a net credit, meaning that you'd have to pay to make the trade, right? You let the shares go. That's the rule. Net credit, roll, net debit, release. The reason this matters is what a net debit roll actually does to your position. Look, you're paying cash out of your account to keep shares that the market is trying to buy from you at a price that you already agreed to accept. Every time you pay a debit to roll, you're reducing the total income the position has generated for you. If you roll for a $250 debit 3 months in a row on the same position, you've now paid $750 to avoid selling shares at a price you originally thought was fine. That's not a winning outcome if you ask me. That's an emotional decision with a mathematical price tag. Now let's talk about when rolling for a net credit actually works, right? Because the situation where rolling produces a net credit almost always involves one big condition. There's still meaningful time value in the market for the next expiration. If a stock runs from 50 to 60 and you're trying to roll a 55 call with 10 days left, the time value on your replacement call is thin. You can't get much for a new call at 62 with only 10 days remaining. There's barely enough time for the option to even be worth some serious premium. That's a roll that almost always costs you a debit. But if you've been managing the position and you try to roll earlier, say 3 or 4 weeks before expiration, when time value is still meaningful, the math works usually more often. You can sometimes buy back the 55 call and sell a 58 call for the following month at a small net credit because both options now have enough time value priced in fairly, right? The earlier you accept the roll, the more likely it is to be a credit. The closer to expiration, obviously the harder it becomes. And here's the scenario that makes people really uncomfortable, right? You sell shares at 55, the stock keeps running to 65, and you watch the gain that you didn't capture. I know the feeling, right? That regret is real. But let's do the math on what actually happened here for you, okay? You bought the shares, let's say at 45, you collected put premiums when you entered your position. Let's say you call it 80 bucks, right? You sold the covered call at 55 for 120 bucks. The shares got called away at 55, right? Your total income on the position, $10 per share in appreciation, position from 45 to 55 plus $80 in premium plus $120 in covered call premium, total $12 per share on a position you entered at 45. That's a 26% return on the position. The stock ran to 65. You didn't capture the last $10. That's real, but you earned 26% on the position without leverage, without complexity, and without spending money on emotional rolls. Now your capital is free to run the same exact process on a completely fresh position. The person who rolled 3 times at a net debit trying to capture that $10 move may have ended up with less total income than the person who simply just let their actual shares go. There's so many emotional mechanics at play here. Here's why the roll forever advice spreads. It feels like you're doing something. You're not passively accepting a loss. You're managing the position, right? There's activity, and that activity, it feels like control, right? But control in options trading is not measured by activity. It's measured by whether every action actually adds value. A roll that costs a debit removes value from the position. Doing it repeatedly in the name of management is paying for the feeling of control without actually any benefit. The people who learn to let the shares go cleanly at a predetermined strike, at a profit, without emotional interference, free up capital way faster. They redeploy it sooner and they run more total cycles per year than the people who are constantly fighting the market to keep shares that they already agreed to sell. Okay? Rolling covered calls, it is a legitimate tool. It has real applications in specific situations, primarily when you can execute it for a net credit and extend the income timeline of the position that you want to maintain anyway. However, it becomes a trap when it turns into a reflexive response to every in-the-money situation you're in. When you're paying debits to roll, you're spending money to avoid an outcome that you should have planned for already. That's the strategy, right? And that emotional override is dressed up as management. The net credit rule is not just a mathematical shortcut. It's a decision filter that forces you to ask whether the roll actually improves your position, or is it just delaying the discomfort of accepting a capped gain? Most of the time, accepting the gain and moving on is the better answer. Not because the stock won't go higher, right? But because your capital has a better job to do than funding 3 months of emotional rolls on a position that has already done what it was supposed to do. So here's how I handle these. Before I sell any covered call, I already know the answer to one very important question. Would I be happy if this stock gets called away at this strike? It's a must know. If the answer is yes, I sell the call with no emotional attachment to the outcome at all. If the stock runs past the strike, gets called away, that's not a loss. That's the strategy working exactly how we talk about here. If a roll opportunity comes up and it's clear net credit, sure, I'm taking it. I'm adding income. I'm extending the position. That's an addition to my income. If the only available roll requires a debit, I let the shares go. The capital that comes back is immediately more useful than the shares I have to pay to keep. This discipline, at least for me, has kept me from some of the most expensive emotional decisions in options trading, right? And the Ark Options Strategy isn't built on maximizing every dollar of upside. It's built on running clean, repeatable cycles where every action in the position adds to the result instead of subtracting from it, okay? I got some questions for you guys, as always, in the comments. Have you ever paid a net debit to roll a covered call? And looking back, do you think it improved the outcome or just delayed the same result? And number 2, do you already use a specific rule for when you roll versus when you just let your shares go? I'm just really curious whether people have built their own version of this or just they're totally deciding this case by case. Drop that down below. And if you want to take your education a step further, you want to learn about our 100 Contract Club as well. I actually just added onto our website here today our latest member to our 100 Contract Club, Fernando. And you want to learn about our mission, about when you hit 100 Contract Club, you get these cool awards from us, and we donate 40 Bibles. Plus, learn about the full Ark Options Strategy in 90 minutes and get a ton of free bonuses along the way, like my 10 favorite stocks to wheel, as well as my income calculators, as well as my trade lock template. Click the first link in the description of today's video, guys. That's our Ark Options Strategy workshop. As always, guys, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.